Okay. So nervous. Okay. Hi. Ooh. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Hey guys, it's Olivia and welcome to the first episode of, drumroll please, Live in Literature. I'm so happy to be here with you guys. Wow, I realized I just didn't even introduce myself. So hi, I'm Olivia, and I love books. And I feel like this year over the quarantine, I decided that I wanted to be a booktuber. Now this was a slow going process. It took a year of just like all the boredom of quarantine, all the life sucking realness that quarantine is, to make me realize that I really love books. And I've loved them forever. I've loved them since I was a kid. I've been reading for like ages. And this felt like something I just wanted to do and try out. And so if you're interested in following me and my journey of living in literature, feel free to follow me and click the subscribe button down at the bottom. Feel free to join the journey. I'm new here, and so it's gonna be a little bit of a bumpy start, but I think we're gonna get somewhere really, really cool. So a little bit about me really quick. I am 22 years old. I currently have a bachelor's degree in theater studies, and I am currently interning at a theater company doing hair and makeup. And that is what I currently do for work. So I'm really excited to meet all of you and people who want to subscribe and learn more about my reading style and learn more about me. I'm super excited to meet you. So welcome to the channel. I figured I'd give you just a little bit of like an introduction in my reading style, the things I prefer to read. Basically, just like every other girl on this channel, I prefer the fantasy, romance, adventure genre. It's like the best ever. And it is like my favorite thing to read in the entire world. I love it so much. It's my favorite thing ever. But I do read a lot of other stuff too. I love some contemporaries. I love historical fiction. I love a good like mystery sometimes. It really depends. But I will say my true love is probably a fantasy adventure romance. And like, yeah, I just think it's the best. So my favorite authors, just to name a few, are V. Schwab, Leigh Bardugo, because like, let's be real, everyone loves Leigh Bardugo. Amy Harmon, and of course, the Queen of Queens, the queen of all authors and women, Sarah J. Maas. Now, if you don't like Sarah J. Maas, like this is not going to be the channel for you to follow or subscribe to or whatever. So you're definitely not going to want to follow because I love her. I love her so much. I think that she is one of the most talented authors on the planet. I'm probably her biggest fan. Like, I love Sarah J. Maas. And so if you like Sarah J. Maas, this is definitely the channel for you. We will be talking a lot about her. And yes, I know I'm like 7 years late to the party, but like, I love her and I would love to talk about her. I could do like an hour-long PowerPoint about how much I love her. So if that's a video you want to see, let me know. Comment down below if that's a video you want to see. But yeah, those are just some of my favorite authors. So my general reads are usually in the YA fantasy section, but I also read, I've been slowly dipping my toes into new adult because I'm getting older and the YA sometimes just isn't doing it for me anymore. It really sometimes it just really lacks where I need it. And so the new adults have been really, really, really great. The new adult novels that I've read, I've loved. And so I can't wait to talk about those here. So those of you who are kind of like an in-between person like me, who are like trying to switch to new adult but can't, or want to keep reading YA but like feel weird about reading YA because they're so old, like don't. Okay, I love YA. I think it's amazing. I think that the authors who write for it are amazing. Everyone is so talented. And I've talked about both on this channel. I talk about new adult, young adult. We'll talk about anything really that you guys want. So comment down below of your favorite books that you want us to talk about, and I will make videos about them. But for right now, I would love to make a video today for you about my best reads of 2020. And I have 5 best reads. And these are also books that have come out in 2020. So it's like best reads of 2020 that came out in 2020. So today's video is going to be, yes, an introduction about me, but also about the best reads of 2020 that came out in 2020. So stick around. So here are some of the books from 2020 that I read that came out in 2020 that I want to talk about. And one of the books, obviously there's only 4 here. One of the books that I want to talk about is I lent it out to a friend. And so I currently don't have it with me, but it's one that I really want to talk about. And I'll go from least favorite to favorite in this little like review. And basically the things I'm just going to tell you are like why I liked them. I'm not going to do any spoilers. If you would like a review of the books specifically, I would love to do a video about them because all of these books were amazing in their own ways. So I'm going to go from least favorite to favorite, starting with number 5. Number 5 was Kingdom of the Wicked. This was such an interesting read. This one came out in November, and I remember seeing it all over Book Talk. Like everyone was talking about this book, and I literally died. Like I died. I thought the plot was so interesting, and I think it's really interesting that like witches are becoming a bigger thing in like the writing community. They weren't such a big thing when I was younger, and I just think they're really interesting. And so I thought that this was an amazing book about witches and magic, and it had a really cool, like interesting plot. My only problems with it is it's a little bit more of a, I would say for like a younger read, in that the writing wasn't super strong for me. But I absolutely adored this book. I think that the characters are so interesting, and I cannot wait for the second one because I just know they're going to build off from what they did in the first one. So this is, I thought, was such an interesting concept because it deals with the, it deals with the 7 deadly sins as like human figures, which I think is a really interesting concept. And I feel like it's something I've never seen before. So to end my gush about why I love this book, basically, I just thought it was a really unique plot and I had really unique characters. The writing is not my favorite. It's not as superior as other authors, but it's a really interesting story, and I am super excited for book 2. Book number 4, The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. So here's where we step into our new adult books. V.E. Schwab is an incredible author, and if you have not read her Darker Shade of Magic series, you need to go read it immediately. It is so good. And if you'd like a review about that book series and why it's so amazing, comment down below. It is so beautiful how poetic this book is. Like V.E. Schwab just has a way with words, and she knows how to world build so well. And she makes you fall in love with this character, and you want to like live. Like I remember after reading this book, I just was like, okay, I just need to pick up and like go travel the world now because of Addie LaRue's life. And essentially the story is about, just to give you a quick little summary, a girl named Addie LaRue in 1714, she is supposed to have an arranged marriage to this man that she does not love, and she doesn't want to get married. And in a desperate attempt, she runs away into the forest and prays to the dark gods at night. And one answers her prayer. And in a moment of desperation, she wishes for the thing that she didn't know would come to haunt her for the rest of her life. Essentially, she is cursed to live forever in immortality, but to never be remembered by anyone. And it's a beautiful story about how desperate we are as humans to be remembered by people, and how desperate we are to find companionship with others, for people to understand our experience. And if you read this book, like, you will not regret it. It is one of the most beautiful things that I've ever read. So please read this one. It's amazing. I hope you enjoy it. The next book on my list is number 3, These Violent Delights. This book came out of nowhere. I'm telling you, this book came out in November. I think it was November. It might have been December. I don't know where this book has been my whole life. It is so brilliant. It's a YA technically, but I think that you could even range it in more of a new adult. The characters are very mature for their age, and it's like the wording, I would say, is pretty like up there, and like for those of you who like aren't always in the mood to read like a super wordy book, it's definitely pretty wordy, but like amazing. So These Violent Delights is essentially, it's Romeo and Juliet, Shanghai 1920s with gangsters. Like, what could you not want? It's literally brilliant. And I, as a theater person, am such a Shakespeare buff, and I love Shakespeare. And this is such an interesting retelling because it's not like the play at all, in the best way possible. It is so well written. The author, her name is Chloe Gong, and she's a student at the University of Pennsylvania. Like, she's probably like a 26-year-old girl. Like, I don't know how old she is. And literally, like, she just pulled this book out of the water. It is so diverse, such diverse characters, such interesting, like, protagonists that we have, like, really interesting character arcs. Like, the wording is so good. She talks about politics and, like, the climate at the time, rioting, people. Like, it just, I'm sorry. This book, like, came out of nowhere. And I remember, like, after I read it, I was left awake, like, shaking for, like, an hour. Like, I was so, like, wound up after reading this one. I, like, it was so mind-blowing to me. I'm just, like, in awe. This is, like, one of the best books that I read this year. And honestly, it might also be in my top 10 best reads. Like, It is so well written. The characters are so interesting. There's some good romance for those of you who love some romance, which, like, I'll be honest, I only read romance. So, like, if a book doesn't have any romance in it, then I'm kind of like, but, like, this one, like, it's some good stuff. And it's a super beautiful retelling of a really tragic story. And I'm so excited for book 2. Book number 4 is called Where the Lost Wander. Here is an image that I'm going to insert right here. Yes, right there. It's right there, hopefully. And Where the Lost Wander is by Amy Harmon. And like I mentioned, she's one of my favorite authors. Like, I would say, like, her writing could be considered YA, but it's definitely more people probably consider it, like, more adults would probably read her books. Where the Lost Wander is incredible. It is one of the most beautiful stories that I've ever read. And for those of you who are not really into historical fiction, this is one historical fiction book that you will want to read. I'll be honest, I love historical fiction. I love a good prairie romance, but this one is different. It is so well written. It is so beautiful. It talks about, like, the struggles of existing, right, of, like, in a time where, like, love was quick and fast and like as a means to survive. But it also talks a lot about, like, people's pasts and, like, what makes you you, and, like, are you defined by your past? And I think it's a really beautiful story. To give you a quick plot summary, it is about a girl named Naomi May and a man named John Lowry, who are on essentially like an Oregon Trail to go to California to make a new life for themselves. And they meet on this trail and go through all these trials, like, together. I know, like, my description of it is not, like, hyping it up. Like, I promise it is so worth the time. It's such an awe-inspiring book, and it really makes you think about love and loss and who you are as a person and, like, what defines you, and, like, does where you come from define you? And it's totally worth your read. Now on to the main event. Drum roll, please. My number 1 best read for 2020 was Crescent City by Sarah Moss. Well, it's true. I drink some more. I can do that, like, Slurpee sound effect where it's like... Just kidding, that was really obnoxious. My best read and one of my all-time favorite books now for 2020 was Crescent City by Sarah J. Maas. Now, like I said before, I love Sarah J. Maas. But I think that this is the best read of 2020. Like, this book changed, like, the whole game. And when I tell you that this is, like, some of the most beautiful writing I've ever read, it would be an understatement. It is like reading liquid gold. It is truly mind-blowing how she creates characters. I'll be honest, I am such a hoe for characters. I'll be honest. I love characters, and I love when people are developed so well that you, like, fall in love with them. And that is how every single one of her characters are all the time. So anyways, it's about Bryce Quinlan and how she loses her best friend. And essentially she gets pulled into a murder case, trying to solve her best friend's murder. And she's teamed up with this archangel named Hunt Althar, which, honestly, I didn't know I had a thing for angels until I met Hunt, and now it's, like, ruined. Like, literally, like, I have a Hunt Althar candle. Like, I love him. Like, I love him. It's so beautiful the way that she writes these characters and how they, like, come to terms with themselves and how they come to terms with each other and how they develop a relationship together. Like, maybe I'm biased, but this book is seriously so beautiful. I cried, like, 7 times when I read this book. There are so many moments that really make you think about your own mortality and really make you think about the people in your life. This book makes me emotional. Like, emotional. I love it. So that was my number 1 best read for 2020. So thank you guys for joining me today and listening to my best reads of 2020. I hope that you will all go and support these authors and buy these books and just read more. If you want to learn more about Liv in literature, please click the red subscribe button down below and come follow me on my booktuber journey. I'm so excited to keep doing this and to keep posting videos for you guys. So I'll see you guys next time. Bye.